Chosen ones. God said, "You'll regret ignoring this prophetic assignment." In a quiet suburb outside Atlanta, Marcus Reed lived what most folks would call a solid life. 34 years old, steady job as a logistics manager, nice little house, a dog named Duke, and church every Sunday. Though lately he'd been hitting the snooze button on his quiet time with God. Nothing dramatic, just busy. One Tuesday night in early spring, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat on the edge of his bed at 2:17 a.m., staring at his phone, scrolling mindlessly. That's when the feeling hit. Not a thought, not a worry, but a weight. Heavy, specific. Like someone had walked into the room and spoken straight into his spirit. "Marcus, I need you to reach out to your old college roommate, Jamal. Tonight. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now." He laughed out loud in the dark. "Come on, God. Jamal? We haven't talked in 8 years. He's probably married with kids, living in Cali or something. This is random." But the weight didn't lift. If anything, it pressed harder. Marcus grabbed his phone again, opened Facebook, found Jamal's profile. Still in Oakland, still single. Posts looked off. Tired eyes and selfies, captions short and flat. One from last month. "Some days you just keep going because stopping feels worse." Marcus typed a message, deleted it, typed again, finally sent. "Hey man, it's been forever. Woke up thinking about you tonight. You good? For real?" He hit send and tossed the phone on the nightstand like it burned him. There, done. Happy now? Sleep came eventually. The next morning, his phone buzzed before the coffee finished brewing. "Jamal. Bro, I was sitting here last night with a bottle of pills in my hand, literally seconds from ending it. Your message popped up right when I was about to. I don't even know how to explain it. I put the bottle down and cried like a baby. How'd you know?" Marcus stared at the screen, heart hammering. He hadn't known, not really, but God had. Over the next weeks, they talked every day. Jamal opened up about losing his job, his mom passing, the depression that crept in like fog. Marcus listened, prayed with him over video calls, connected him with a counselor at his church who specialized in grief. Slowly, Jamal started smiling again in pictures, started talking about maybe moving back east, closer to old friends. One evening, Jamal called, voice steady. "Man, I gotta tell you something. Last night I was praying, first time in years, and I felt God say clear as day, 'Thank you for not ignoring the assignment.' I didn't even know what that meant till I remembered how close I came. If you hadn't messaged, I wouldn't be here." Marcus sat on his porch, Duke at his feet, watching fireflies blink in the yard. Tears burned his eyes. He whispered into the night air, "I almost ignored it, God. I almost scrolled past your voice." A gentle breeze moved through the trees, carrying the faintest whisper back. "You didn't, and because you didn't, one life is still here. But there are more assignments coming. Don't let busyness steal them. Don't let doubt silence them. You'll regret it more than you know if you do." Marcus nodded, even though no one was watching. From that night on, whenever that same weight returned, whether it was a coworker who seemed off, a stranger at the grocery store, or even his own sister who never asked for help, he didn't question it anymore. He moved, he spoke, he obeyed. Because he learned the hard way what the title really meant. Chosen ones. God said, "You'll regret ignoring this prophetic assignment." And regret? Marcus wasn't about to find out what that felt like again. In the heart of Atlanta's bustling suburbs, where the humid air hung thick with the scent of magnolias and barbecue smoke, Marcus Reed had carved out what he considered a pretty decent American dream. At 34, he was the picture of middle-class stability, a mid-level logistics manager at a shipping company downtown, overseeing trucks that crisscrossed the southeast like veins pumping life into the economy. His 2-story colonial on a cul-de-sac came with a fenced yard, a loyal golden retriever named Duke who greeted him every evening with slobbery enthusiasm, and a pickup truck that still had that new car smell from last year's impulse buy. Sundays meant church at First Baptist, where he'd nod along to sermons about faith and purpose, but lately his Bible app notifications had been piling up unread. Life was good, busy, predictable, and comfortably numb. Marcus wasn't always this settled. Back in college at Georgia Tech, he'd been a firebrand, leading Bible studies, volunteering at homeless shelters, dreaming of missions trips to far-off places. But adulthood had a way of sanding down those edges. Bills, promotions, and the endless grind of Atlanta traffic had turned his once vibrant faith into something more routine. He still believed, sure, prayed her meals, threw a few bucks in the offering plate,
but that deep burning connection, it had faded like an old t-shirt in the wash.
It all changed on a muggy Tuesday night in early spring, the kind where thunderstorms rumble in the distance but never quite break. Marcus tossed in his king-sized bed, the ceiling fan whirring lazily overhead. The clock on his nightstand glowed 2:17 a.m. He'd been scrolling through his phone, endless feeds of sports highlights, work emails, and memes that barely elicited a chuckle. Duke snored softly at the foot of the bed, oblivious to his owner's restlessness. Then it hit. Not a dream, not a random thought, but a presence. A voice that wasn't audible, yet clearer than any podcast he'd ever streamed. It settled in his chest like a stone, heavy and unignorable. "Marcus, I have an assignment for you. Reach out to Jamal. Tonight, not tomorrow, now." Jamal? Marcus sat bolt upright, heart pounding. Jamal Thompson, his old roommate from freshman year? The guy who'd been his wingman through late-night cram sessions, frat parties, and those awkward first dates? They hadn't spoken in 8 years, not since Jamal packed up and headed west after graduation, chasing tech dreams in Silicon Valley. Last Marcus heard, Jamal was in Oakland, grinding away at some startup. Why him? Why now? He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake it off. God, if this is you, this feels weird, random. What am I supposed to say? "Hey bro, divine intervention told me to check in?" He chuckled nervously, but the weight didn't budge. If anything, it intensified, like a hand pressing on his shoulder, urging him forward. Sighing, Marcus grabbed his phone again, opened Facebook. Yeah, he still used it, mostly for keeping tabs on high school buddies and family. Searched for Jamal. There he is, profile pic from a beach somewhere, but his eyes looked hollow, shadowed. Scrolling through posts, Marcus felt a chill. They were sparse, cryptic, one from a month ago. Nights like these, you wonder if anyone's really out there. Another, lost my anchor, drifting. No mentions of work, friends, or the vibrant life Jamal used to post about. Marcus's thumbs hovered over the keyboard. Doubt crept in. What if he thinks I'm nuts? What if he's fine and this is just my insomnia talking? But the voice echoed in his mind. You'll regret ignoring this. He typed, "Hey Jamal, it's Marcus from Tech. Been ages, man. Woke up tonight and you popped into my head. Everything cool on your end? Hit me back if you want to catch up." Send. The message whooshed away into the digital ether. Marcus stared at the screen for a minute, then set the phone down. All right, God, ball's in your court now. He flopped back onto the pillow, expecting the unease to lift. It didn't, not fully, but sleep finally claimed him as the first raindrops pattered against the window. Morning came with the blare of his alarm and the aroma of fresh coffee from the auto brewer. Marcus shuffled to the kitchen, Duke trotting behind, tail wagging for breakfast. As he poured a mug, his phone buzzed on the counter. A notification, message from Jamal Thompson. His hand trembled as he unlocked it. Marcus? Damn, bro, timing is unreal. I was up all night too, sitting here with a bottle of pills, staring at them like they were the answer. Your message lit up my screen right as I was about to, swallow them, ended. How the hell did you know? Marcus's coffee mug slipped from his fingers, shattering on the tile floor. Hot liquid splashed his feet, but he barely noticed. He hadn't known, not consciously, but God had. The assignment. It wasn't random. It was a lifeline. He called in sick to work that day, something he never did. Spent hours on the phone with Jamal, piecing together the wreckage. Jamal's startup had tanked during the pandemic, investors pulling out overnight. Then his mom, his rock, died from complications after a routine surgery. Grief piled on debt, isolation in a city that felt too big and too cold. Friends drifted away, depression sunk its claws in deep. I was done, man, Jamal admitted, voice cracking. Prayed for a sign, any sign to keep going, and then you messaged. Marcus listened, really listened. No quick fixes, no platitudes. He shared his own struggles, the burnout, the fading faith. By the end of the call, they prayed together, awkward at first, but real. He connected Jamal with his church's counseling center, a place that specialized in grief and mental health, no judgment attached. Come crash with me if you need to, Marcus offered. Atlanta's got room for you. Over the following weeks, their reconnection blossomed into something profound. Daily texts turned to video calls. Jamal started therapy, found a remote gig that paid the bills. Marcus drove him to the airport when Jamal decided to visit, first time in years. They hit up old haunts, the varsity for chili dogs, a hike in the North Georgia mountains where the air cleared their heads. Jamal's post changed, brighter, hopeful. One even quoted a Bible verse, "For I know the plans I have for you." But it wasn't just Jamal who transformed. Marcus felt that fire reignite. The assignments kept coming, subtle at first. A nudge to call his estranged sister in Chicago, who confessed she'd been battling addiction alone. A prompt to tip extra to the exhausted barista at his local coffee shop, only to learn later she'd been on the verge of eviction.
Even at work, he felt led to mentor a young intern who reminded him of his younger self, lost, ambitious, scared. One crisp fall evening, months later, Marcus and Jamal sat on Marcus's porch, beers in hand, non-alcoholic for Jamal, who'd sworn off the hard stuff. Duke lounged between them, chasing fireflies in the yard. Jamal turned to him, eyes steady. "Remember that night? I prayed again last week, and God hit me with this. Thank you for not ignoring the assignment. But it wasn't to me, it was about you. If you'd brushed it off." Marcus nodded, throat tight. "I almost did. Scrolled right past it, told myself it was nothing." The breeze picked up, rustling the leaves like a whisper. In it, Marcus heard that voice again. "Chosen one, there are more. Lives hanging in the balance. Regret isn't just missing out, it's knowing you could have saved someone and didn't." From then on, Marcus lived differently. He journaled those nudges, acted on them without hesitation. His church small group grew as he shared his story. No embellishments, just raw truth. People started calling him the guy who listens to God, half joking, half odd. But Marcus knew the truth. He wasn't special, just obedient. And in a world full of noise, social media pings, work deadlines, endless distractions, obedience was revolutionary. Years later, at Jamal's wedding, to a counselor he'd met through therapy no less, Marcus stood as best man. In his toast, he raised a glass. To assignments we don't ignore, because God doesn't whisper for nothing. And regret? That's for the ones who do. The crowd cheered, but Marcus felt that weight again. Not heavy this time, but warm, affirming. "Well done, but keep going. The chosen ones are everywhere." And so he did. The end.